Proximity is power. The closer you can get to someone, the more you can be impacted by what it is they do on a daily basis. There's the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think you're the average of the 5 people that you are most influenced by. My name is Brian Pannuzzo. I'm an executive coach that helps successful professionals get wealthy outside of the office in their mind, their body, and their relationships. I am an expert at this because I did it myself. I sat inside of corporate America, likely in a seat just like the one that you sit in for 20 years. If I can do it, so can you. And do I really, really want to talk about if I can do it, so can you today. Welcome to the show. My name is Brian. We're in the middle of January 2025. This is the Success Lift podcast. I am pumped to be in the mix, back in the swing of things. I love being in the daily grind myself. I know a lot of people like to disconnect. I know a lot of people just wish they weren't so busy. But I personally thrive when things are busy because I've developed standards in my life that I know through thick and thin I can rely on them. And I oftentimes have more trouble when there isn't as much to do. I have trouble when the schedule isn't as packed, when I have more time to, sit around and kick the can down the road. I've always been this way. I don't know if it was because I was an athlete. I was a very busy guy all the time in terms of like a demanding schedule. I remember in college, I did far better in school from late September when basketball really picked up until the end of the season in like the middle of March or so. I found that when I had 90 minutes to get something done and 90 minutes only, I would get my work done. In April and in May, when I didn't have 2 hours of practice, 1 hour of lifting, 30 minutes of conditioning, whatever it may be, when I didn't have to get up at 6 a.m. to get to the gym, to work out, to do all the things that I need to do, I procrastinated, of course. And I enjoy the busyness of life. I enjoy looking at my calendar and trying to figure out the Tetris puzzle that I'm going to fit all the pieces of the things that I need to do to get in order to be successful, to live up to my standard. And so why I just gave you that little speech is not to toot my own horn, is because it's now the second full week of January and most of us are back in the swing of things. Many of us are starting to entertain again for work and go to work dinners and functions and commitments. Some of us are already traveling. Others have travel schedules starting to pick up in another week or so. And sooner or later, if it's not already happening for you, life is going to be full swing, full tilt, back into the mixer for all of us. And all of the things that we talk about and that we promised ourselves and that we told ourselves were going to be different in 2025, or insert whatever year you want to, will likely sort of just get drowned out, right? And this isn't like your New Year's resolutions or bullshit speech. This is like just what happens. What happens when we all attempt to do something new or to tell ourselves it's going to be different this year is that we fail to plan for the moments that are likely to pull us off track. And as I've said to a lot of you recently, I've definitely been beating my clients over the head with this, it's very cliche and life coachy to say, but you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your standards. And so why not develop standards in your life that are time tested and can survive the busiest moments of your life? What everyone does is they wait until the opportunity is perfect. And you might have had some perfect moments over the last few weeks. Maybe you weren't working as much. Maybe the schedule wasn't as busy outside of the office because the kids were on break too, and they didn't have their freaking hundreds of activities that it seems like they have week to week. And so you were able to find some time for yourself, even though you were maybe decimating yourself with too much food or alcohol or whatever it may be. Maybe you still did have time to start those habits, scheduling you, as I call them inside my program. Maybe you did read a little bit more. Maybe you did get some extra sleep. Maybe you did get to the gym. Maybe you got a moment of connection with your spouse, took your wife out on a date, whatever it may be. All of those moments are now gone. Those opportunities, those easy moments are gone. So if you're waiting for moments like that again, like what are we talking about? Your next vacation in August in the summer when you get away for 2 weeks out of the office when things slow down? Are we talking about next holiday season? People don't build in very obvious guardrails around their lives in order for them to sustain volatility. And it's for my financial professionals out there, we are versed in purchasing protection. For my non-financial professionals, think about life insurance. Think about any insurance, your home insurance, auto insurance. We have insurance in our lives to protect ourselves from, which we say unexpected events, but they happen enough that they're pretty much expected. And so we want to protect ourselves from these moments. And so having things in your life like accountability, it's an insurance policy on your success. I said that last week, right? Having a structured process and program that you just get to wake up every day and follow the action steps that are prescribed and determined based on what creates actual success, and you as an individual, as a unique person. Yes, your problems are generic. I've told you that before, but you are a unique individual. You have individual likes and desires and goals, and your schedule is not like mine. It is slightly different. You do have slightly different demands. So why aren't you building out a process for yourself that allows you to be successful in any environment? Now, will that intensity ebb and flow with the craziness of life? Of course it will. Well, oftentimes you need to slightly adjust the standard to correspond with what's happening. Yes, you will. But is there a baseline where you shouldn't really fall because you've built in these guardrails into your life? Absolutely. And that's something that I take pride in for myself, as well as the people that I work with. What I want to talk about this week is very related to that. And it's this notion of proximity. Proximity has been said by all of the gurus around the coaching space. Proximity is power. Okay? The closer you can get to someone, the more you can be impacted by what it is they do on a daily basis. There's the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think you're the average of the 5 people that you are most influenced by. And in the new age of technology in the world that we live in, certainly you don't have to be physically located next to somebody in order to be influenced by them. When I hear that original version, the 5 people you spend the most time with, the problem with that for some people in their lives is that they spend 8 to 12 hours a day at the office with a bunch of people who don't share the same vision and goals as they have. And so, Brian, how the hell am I supposed to not spend all that time with these people? Some people, unfortunately, don't have supportive family members in their life. Maybe their spouse is not on board. Maybe their kids have different habits. Maybe their lifelong friends are not looking to evolve at the rapid pace that you are. Those present problems for people. Sometimes it presents a big enough obstacle for you to not even start. And as I've said before, it's the start that stops a lot of people. And so I like to think of it as I have a choice. I have a choice for who influences me. And so I can choose to drown out certain people in my lives, and I can choose to let in other messages. I spend time regularly, whether it be on text threads or in person or in a lot of different areas of my life, where I reject the things that are being said and the vibe that is going on, inside of the particular conversation. I don't need to physically remove myself most times from these situations in order for me to just not take in what they're saying and not be influenced by it. I have a little process. Oftentimes I say it out loud. I reject and I replace. That is a strategy inside of the program that I run for high-performing, busy professionals. We actually can choose to reject a thought and replace it with a new one. And oftentimes, too many of us, I feel like, we think something, we feel something, and then we go on this like never-ending battle to not feel it, not think it. Good luck with that, especially if you're someone like me. Simply, all you can do is decide to reject the thought, reject the feeling, move on from what it is you're currently feeling and choose something different. That is necessary for you in order to continually advance in your life. Okay. So let's talk about proximity is power. It's been scientifically proven, I guess. Studies have been done that show your physical and also, I believe, your physiological, right? Your psychological, let's just go with it. Your psychological closeness to someone, to a message, to an environment will dramatically increase your correlation to the outcome. I wanted to say success, but in this case, it could be a negative outcome. And so the standard example is, if you want to be a multi-millionaire, go find 5 other multi-millionaires. If you want to be jacked and lean, go hang out and go to the gym and eat like 5 other people who are jacked and lean, so on and so forth. And that's why I've always said, for me, I will never look for someone and hire someone who doesn't have what I already, or doesn't already have what I want. So I said this last week. I am not hiring a divorced marriage coach. Now, could there be someone out there? Is there likely many people out there who maybe screwed it up the first time? When I raise my hand, I don't mean in marriage. I almost did that. I mean in other areas of my life. I screwed up a lot of areas of my life, learned from them, developed strategies to fix it for myself, put it into practice with other people, and now have a proven method of success. So if there's a divorced marriage coach who now is happily married and living in alignment with what it is I want in my life, sure, I'll take that person. But if there is a divorced person who is preaching about what you should do and not living it and not creating their own success in their own life, no thank you. I'm not hiring a broke financial advisor. I'm not hiring a fat health coach, personal trainer. I'm not hiring an executive coach that hasn't lived the life of an executive. So it's important for me, you can do whatever you want. It's important for me to align myself with people who have done what I want to do. That's very, very important for me. Okay. It's also important for me to get around people that have bigger visions than me, because we limit ourselves, and it's all right here. Everything that you believe you can't do is solely because you've told yourself a story. And I love the quote. If it is a quote, I wrote it down, so I'm staring at it right now. I look at it often. Limits begin where vision ends. Limits begin where vision ends. I oftentimes am clouded by my own vision, by what I believe to be enough in my life, by what I believe to be acceptable in my life. Why do I have to have certain things when I have pretty good versions of it? Do I really need that? Who's to say that I need to justify why I want it? I don't need to justify it to you. If it's important to me, why shouldn't I go get it? But what we do as human beings is we limit ourselves based on what we believe to be acceptable for many different reasons. I believed for 15 years of a 20-year corporate career that my body, my marriage, my vices, what I was capable of doing outside of the office was limited because of my career. It was the cost of doing business inside of my professional life that was going to limit me in being able to do and have certain things in my personal life. And so when I say that if I can do it, so can you, I don't say that as a catchy phrase or a tagline. I say that because I know that limits begin where vision ends. And I know that there's aspects of your life that you are cloudy right now. And trust me, I do not say this believing that I have it all figured out, because I pay a lot of money to other people who help me figure out where my limits are, because shit, do I have a lot of them. But I can tell you firsthand that when you begin to break down some of these limitations and find this new version of yourself, what you're capable of, every single time I've done it, I've been excited by the result. Every single time it's been worth the time, the effort, or the investment that I've made in it, whether it be time, effort, money, every single time, like by multiples. You start to realize what's possible when you have proximity to people who are doing ridiculous things. Think about early in your career, that one or two people who you spent a lot of time with, where you're like, I want to be that guy. I want to be that girl. Like, I want that life. I want what they have. Now, we likely didn't know all the other things that they were dealing with. And maybe we didn't want other areas of their life. I certainly learned that as I, found mentors. It's like, well, I want some of what they have. I don't know if I want it all. But once you spend more time with people like this, you start to realize what's possible. I tell the people that I work with, I take great pride in living a life that is in alignment with the values that I project onto them inside of my program, onto this platform, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, my email list, LinkedIn. I am who I say I am. I drink tequila. I smoke cigars. I play golf with my buddies. I love to just kick back and spend time with my kids. I eat pasta. I also walk 15,000 steps a day. I lift 4 to 5 days a week. I am constantly working on my marriage with my wife. It is in an amazing place right now. I have a ton of work to do to continue that. I am who I say I am. And so that's why I say, if I can do it, so can you, because I'm just like you. Maybe I am advanced in a particular area of my life versus where you are right now, but you can't compare your journey to mine. I'm 10 years into some of this. I may not be able to compare my wealth to yours. Mine's not bad, but shit, I got a lot of work to do. I'm working on it. And so I'm aligning myself with people who can see bigger than me, who are like, why would you stop at a $1 or $2 million business a year? Why wouldn't you have a $10 million business a year? Why wouldn't you have a $15 million business a year? Like, you're as good as somebody else who's doing that. But I'm like, well, 10 million a year. I never made $10 million in my Wall Street career. How could I make that much money being a fucking coach? That's incomprehensible to me. But there are people out there doing it. And do I think that I'm not as good as them? Not if I get in the same room. Not if I compare myself to them. So having proximity to these types of people is so critical, so critical. Here's the thing. If you can get into an environment where your desired result is the standard, you're going to win 100% of the time. Okay? Again, this is just an easy example. Me, because it's me. I can speak to my personal experience, and I can speak to my experience inside of my coaching with the people that I work with the executive teams, with the individuals, the hundreds of people that I work with, that I've worked with in the past, the 40 plus people that I work with one-on-one right now, the teams that I work with right now in a group environment. When you get into an environment where your desired result is the standard, you are by definition forced to rise up to their level. If your desired result is 12% body fat, 10% body fat, 15% body fat, and you start hanging out with people who would be disgusted by themselves if they got above 15% body fat, you're going to win. If you're around people who are like, yeah, I got to 15% body fat once when I was 26, and they're 46, and they talk about how they used to be an athlete, and they remember the days like Al Bundy of their high school football career, you're going to lose. My man from New Jersey, Tony Soprano, said the lowest form of conversation is remember when. If you are hanging out with people who are literally saying remember when, or inferring that they used to be something, you should run as far as you can. Now, when I say run, I mean reject and replace. If those are your good friends, you don't have to stop being friends with them. But I would highly encourage you to stop allowing them to influence you. Well, Brian, I'm my own person. I don't let other people influence me. Is that true? Because what is your behavior like when you're around them? Do you feel uncomfortable enough to do what others are doing because others are doing it in certain situations? That's where the proximity is power comes into play. When you're in a group setting with 40 other people who are all chasing after the same goal, tracking what you're putting in your body, moving more via steps, not drinking as much, dating your wife more, connecting with your kids, scheduling your week, not allowing a business trip to absolutely detonate your week, not allowing a 45-day stretch during the holidays to put on 15 pounds. I cannot tell you how many clients I have that lost weight from the Tuesday before Thanksgiving until after New Year's. It's in the dozens. And it is so fucking exciting. Now, did all of them lose 20 pounds? No, of course not, because they're human beings and they had ridiculous schedules. But are dozens of them down on the scale from November 26th to January 3rd? Yes, they are. And how many people in America lose weight during that time? Shit. How many people just stay the same weight during that time? Most people put on 5, 7, 10, 15. When you are around other people chasing after the same goals, who have the same responsibilities, who have very similar lives, that have very similar professions, dozens of financial professionals, multiple doctors, lawyers, business owners. Like, if you're an orthopedic surgeon and tell me that you can't do it because of your schedule, I'll point to 2 inside of my program. And I'm just one little old coach out there in a sea of millions of coaches. You tell me that you have to travel 3 to 4 days a week, I'll point to 3 of my clients who travel 3 to 4 days a week, who are executing at a high level. If you tell me that you have multiple kids, you get on the train at 6 a.m., you're not home until 7 p.m., I'll point to 10 of those people inside of my program who are executing despite that. And so the excuses that we've all built up are because of who we keep company with. And that's not to say that like we hang out with a bunch of lazy bastards. It's just the way people get over time, because we tell ourselves a story that it has to be this way because it's always been this way. If you're looking for a template to follow in 2025 to get whatever it is that you want to get, do one thing first. You've already made it this far, so you're in good shape. Go back and listen to last week. The 4 ways to guarantee your success. Start to implement those 4 things while upgrading the circle that you keep. Consider that proximity has massive power both ways in your life. Then make a decision to upgrade the people that you spend time with. Hire a coach, join a group program, get accountability partners. Just start listening, watching, reading more of the people that have the results that you want. Then go do that for an entire 12 months. And you'll be ever so slightly on the road to where you want to go. Because excellence, being elite, is a multi-year, is a decade plus long journey. It's a blessing and a curse. There's no finish line. There's one finish line. We're all in a box. Every time you level up and find a new version of yourself, take a moment and relax and enjoy it. But you're going to find that you want to get your ass back to work. And you have to continually upgrade your surroundings. And maybe, hopefully, that's the people around you continually upgrading themselves. And that is where you strike gold. When you find a coach, a program, a community, an accountability group, friends, a spouse that wants to grow with you. And those are some of the longest clients that I ever have inside of my programs. The people who don't want to stop growing, because neither do I. I hope this message helped you. If you did find it helpful, would you share it with someone? Tell somebody about the show. Put into action some of the things that we're talking about. Let me know how it's going. And if I can help you in any way, you know where to find me. See you back here next week.